You made it through a lot in life. So why does your mind still keep you awake at night? Your health, your money, your children, a conversation you can't stop replaying, problems that haven't even happened yet. The Stoics understood something about worry that most of us learn far too late. Here are 8 habits that can help quiet your mind and stop suffering through problems before they arrive. The first one sounds completely backward. Think about what could go wrong. I know, if you already worry too much, that probably sounds like terrible advice. But there's a difference between preparing for a problem and suffering through it 50 times in your head. Let's say your doctor schedules a follow-up for Thursday. It's Monday. You don't know what the doctor is going to say, but your mind hates that empty space, so it fills it. What if they found something? What if I need treatment? What if this changes everything? By lunchtime, you've already lived through 5 different futures. None of them happened, and you still don't know what the doctor is going to say. That's worry. Preparation is shorter. You sit down once. If the news isn't what I want to hear, what questions will I ask? Do I want someone there with me? What information do I need? What's the first decision I'll actually have to make? Write it down. Now you're prepared. Go live Monday. The Stoics practiced something similar. Seneca would deliberately consider difficulty before it arrived. Not because he wanted to expect disaster. He wanted difficulty to stop feeling like a stranger. There's a very practical idea underneath that. A lot of fear hides inside one sentence. I wouldn't know what to do. So answer it. What would you do? Maybe you're worried about your job. Your company has been cutting costs. People are whispering about layoffs. Every unexpected meeting suddenly looks suspicious. Fine. Give the problem 30 minutes. Look at your savings. Update your resume. Think about who you'd call. Decide what your first move would be. Then stop. You haven't prevented a layoff. You've done something more realistic. You've prepared for your part of it. That's enough for today. The next time your mind starts running the same frightening story again, ask yourself, am I preparing? Or am I rehearsing fear? If you're preparing, make the plan. If you're rehearsing fear, you've already rehearsed enough. Make breakfast. Walk the dog. Call somebody. Come back to the day you're actually living. Because worrying about Thursday all day Monday doesn't make Thursday easier. It just costs you Monday. But there's a problem. Even after you stop rehearsing what might happen, your mind will still try to control things that were never yours to control. And that's where the second habit begins. Ask yourself one question. What part of this is actually mine? Epictetus built much of his philosophy around that distinction. Some things belong to us. Others don't. Simple idea. Very difficult practice. Imagine your adult daughter makes a decision you think is a mistake. Maybe it's money, a relationship, a job. You tell her what you think. She listens. Then does exactly what she was going to do anyway. Now you're sitting at home replaying the conversation. Maybe I should call again. Maybe I didn't explain it clearly. Maybe if I send her this article. You tell yourself you're doing it because you love her. And you probably are. But love doesn't give you control over another adult. What belongs to you? You can tell her what you think. You can listen. You can be honest without being cruel. You can keep the door open. And if things go badly, you can be there. What doesn't belong to you? Her decision. That's the line. Crossing it doesn't give you more control. It usually just gives you more anxiety. And this applies almost everywhere. You can prepare for an interview. You can't choose who gets hired. You can take care of your health. You can't guarantee every test result. You can apologize sincerely. You can't make somebody forgive you. You can invest carefully. You can't tell the market what to do tomorrow morning. Stoicism isn't telling you not to care. It's telling you something harder. Care deeply, without demanding control. Try this the next time something gets stuck in your head. Take a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On one side, what can I do? On the other, what can I decide? Then look at the first side. That's your job. The second side? Leave it alone. Not forever. Just until reality gives you something useful to do. Because sometimes the thing making you anxious isn't even happening in your life. You invited it in, probably through a screen. You can wake up feeling perfectly fine. and ruin your own morning before the coffee gets cold. Open your phone. There's a war somewhere. The market is falling. Someone in Washington said something outrageous. There's a crime story from a city you've never visited. A new health scare. A recession prediction. Then social media gives you two strangers screaming at each other about something you weren't thinking about 5 minutes ago. Now look around. You're still sitting in the same kitchen. Same coffee. Same chair. Same Tuesday morning. Nothing in the room changed. But inside your head, the whole world is on fire. The Stoics didn't have smartphones. Lucky them. But they understood something we desperately need now. Attention is not unlimited. What you repeatedly put in front of your mind eventually becomes part of the life you're experiencing. That doesn't mean you should become ignorant. Know what's happening. Pay attention. Be an adult. But there's a difference between being informed and being continuously invaded. A lot of modern media makes money from one thing: keeping you there. And fear is very good at keeping you there. So create the boundary. Maybe you check the news once in the morning. Maybe once in the evening. Then you're done. Turn off alerts you don't actually need. If you're investing for 10 years, ask yourself whether checking the market 12 times today is improving your investment strategy or just raising your blood pressure. And if somebody on social media makes you angry every single morning, stop inviting them into your house. Think about how strange this is. You wouldn't let a stranger walk through your front door at 7:30 every morning, sit at your kitchen table, and spend 40 minutes telling you everything you should be angry and afraid about. But hand that stranger a screen, and suddenly we call it staying informed. Protect your attention. Not because the world doesn't matter, because your life matters too. Try one morning without news before breakfast. Just one. Drink your coffee. Look outside. Talk to your spouse. Walk the dog. See what your mind feels like before the entire planet gets access to it. You may discover something uncomfortable. A surprising amount of your anxiety didn't start inside you. It was delivered. But when the outside noise finally gets quieter, another kind of noise tends to show up. Usually right when you're trying to sleep. It's 11:40 at night. The house is quiet. Your body is exhausted. And your brain has called an emergency staff meeting. Remember that stupid thing you said 12 years ago? Apparently that's urgent now. What about the property taxes? Excellent time to discuss those. Your son's job. That pain in your shoulder. Retirement savings. The doctor's appointment. Something your wife said at dinner. Everybody has gone to bed. Except the committee in your head. Seneca had a habit of reviewing his day at night. Not to punish himself. To clear the books. You can do a very simple version of that. Keep a cheap notebook beside the bed. Before you turn out the light, answer 3 questions. What bothered me today? Is there anything I can actually do about it? What will I do tomorrow? That's enough. If you need to call somebody, write it down. Tomorrow. If you need to pay something, write it down. Tomorrow. If you need to apologize, write it down. Tomorrow. And if there's absolutely nothing you can do about it tonight, write that down too. Then close the notebook. The meeting is over. Your brain may try to reopen the meeting at 2:17. Fine. Tell it. We already covered this. Tomorrow has the notes. There's something useful about putting a worry somewhere physical. Your brain no longer has to keep circling it just to make sure you don't forget. And please don't turn this into another thing you need to be good at. You're not writing meditations. 3 sentences will do. The goal isn't to become a writer. The goal is to stop taking every unfinished thought to bed with you. And I'm curious about something. Which one steals more of your peace? Health, money, family, or the past? Just leave one word in the comments. Because that last one, the past, is where the next habit becomes uncomfortable. Some things aren't keeping you awake because they might happen. They're keeping you awake because they already did. There are conversations that ended 10 years ago, and we're still trying to win them. A marriage ended. A friend betrayed you. A company pushed you out. Your parents weren't the people you needed them to be. Someone died before you were ready. You made a decision you wish you could take back. And every now and then, your mind pulls the file back out. Here's what I should have said. Here's what they should have done. This wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe you're right. Maybe it wasn't fair. It still happened. The Stoics had a phrase often translated as loving your fate. A more fatty, but I think we need to be careful with that idea. You don't have to love everything that happened to you. You don't have to call betrayal a gift. You don't have to pretend losing someone was beautiful. You don't have to be grateful for every painful chapter. But eventually, you do have to stop asking yesterday to change. Because it can't. Imagine your company pushed you out after 25 years. You gave them some of the best years of your life. Then somebody who barely knew you made a decision. And that was it. Maybe they handled it badly. Maybe they didn't appreciate you. Maybe you deserved better. 2 years later, you're still having the meeting in your head. You're explaining yourself. Proving them wrong. Saying the thing you wish you'd said when you had the chance. But here's the painful part. They left that room 2 years ago. You're the only one still sitting there. Acceptance is getting out of the chair. Not because they were right. Because it's over. And there's still a life outside that room. So change the question. Not, what should have happened? But, what does this require from me now? Maybe you need to forgive somebody. Maybe you don't. Maybe you need a boundary. Maybe you need to stop checking their Facebook page. Maybe you need to admit that part of it was your fault. Or maybe there is nothing left to do. Sometimes the next step is simply allowing a memory to become a memory. Not today's emergency. A memory. And when you finally stop trying to repair yesterday, your mind usually runs in the opposite direction. Straight into tomorrow. Your appointment is Friday. Today is Tuesday. Your mind says, why wait? Let's worry about Friday now. So Tuesday becomes Friday. Wednesday becomes Friday. Thursday definitely becomes Friday. And then Friday finally arrives. One difficult day just became 4. That's what anticipatory worry does. It charges you in advance. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself to return to what was actually in front of him. Not because tomorrow doesn't matter. Because today is the only place where you can do anything. Look around. Right now. Is there an emergency? Is there something you need to do? If there is, do it. If there isn't, stop trying to live Friday on Tuesday. Friday knows how to find you. This becomes more important as you get older. When you're 22, wasting a week doesn't feel particularly expensive. At 55, 60, 65, you understand what a week actually is. You don't get unlimited Tuesdays. So don't hand a perfectly good one to a problem that hasn't arrived yet. When your mind jumps ahead, don't start another argument with yourself. Come back to something physical. The coffee in your hand. Your feet on the floor. The person sitting across from you. The sound outside the window. The work in front of you. Dinner tonight. Ordinary life doesn't look important while it's happening. Then you get older and realize ordinary life was most of the good stuff. Don't miss it because your mind was always living 3 days ahead. But there's a reason we do this. Deep down, many of us aren't only afraid that something difficult might happen. We're afraid we won't be able to handle it when it does. That's what the 7th habit is designed to change. Not with positive thinking. With evidence. You don't become confident because somebody tells you you're strong. You become confident when you have evidence. I've been uncomfortable before. And I survived it. The Stoics sometimes chose small discomforts deliberately. Simple food. Less luxury. Physical difficulty. They weren't trying to make life miserable. They were reminding themselves, I need less than fear tells me I need. You don't need to copy ancient Rome. And please don't turn Stoicism into some ridiculous contest over who can suffer the most. Especially if you have health issues. Modern life gives us plenty of safer ways to practice discomfort. Make the phone call you've been avoiding. Spend 30 minutes without your phone. Go somewhere by yourself. Finish the annoying job you've been putting off. Wait 24 hours before buying the thing you suddenly think you need. Learn something you're bad at. Have the difficult conversation instead of having it 50 times in your imagination. The point isn't pain. The point is learning something about yourself. Discomfort is not always an emergency. That's powerful information. Because anxiety often whispers, I won't be able to handle it. But look at your own life. Really look. You've already survived things your 30-year-old self would have been terrified of. Bad news. Money problems. People leaving, people dying, mistakes, heartbreak, humiliation, months when you didn't know how things were going to work out. And yet, here you are. You figured some things out. Other things you simply endured. Some left scars. But you got to this morning. Don't forget your own evidence. The goal isn't to convince yourself that nothing difficult will happen. Nobody can promise you that. The goal is quieter. If something difficult happens, I'll meet it when it gets here. That's enough. But what happens when you do everything right, and things still go wrong? That's the last habit. And for many people, it's the hardest one. Stop using the outcome to decide whether you did well. You can prepare for the interview, and somebody else gets the job. You can raise your children with love, and they still make choices you don't understand. You can save carefully, and the market still falls. You can take care of your body, and still get a diagnosis you didn't want. You can apologize honestly, and somebody can still decide not to forgive you. So what are you going to use as your scoreboard? Because if your peace depends on everything turning out the way you hoped, your peace doesn't belong to you. It belongs to your boss, your spouse, your children, the market, the doctor, the weather, just anybody who has the power to give you the results you want. The Stoics chose a different scoreboard. Did I do what was mine to do? Did I tell the truth? Did I behave with courage? Was I fair? Did I act like the person I want to be? Those questions don't guarantee the result. They do something better. They let you walk away from the result, without walking away from yourself. Imagine you've been trying to repair a relationship with your adult son. You call. You listen. You stop defending every mistake you've ever made. You apologize for the part that was yours. You tell him you love him, and he still isn't ready. That hurts. Stoicism doesn't require you to pretend it doesn't. But there comes a point where you've done your part. You can't crawl inside another person's heart and rearrange the furniture. You leave the door open, then you live your life. The same thing applies to smaller disappointments. You worked hard for the promotion. Somebody else got it. Be disappointed. You're human. Go home. Be irritated for a while. Have dinner. Then ask yourself, did I give it an honest effort? If the answer is yes, don't turn an outcome into a verdict on your worth. An outcome is information. It isn't always a judgment. This is where Stoicism stops being something interesting to read and becomes something useful to live. Do your work. Make the call. Tell the truth. Take care of your body. Love your family. Prepare carefully. Then let the outcome be an outcome. You don't have to carry it home and turn it into your identity. And tonight, your mind may try again. The house gets quiet. You turn off the light. Then something shows up. The appointment. The money. Your children. A conversation from 3 days ago. A mistake from 20 years ago. Tomorrow. Next month. Next year. When that happens, don't try to wrestle every thought to the ground. Ask one question. Is there something I can do about this right now? If there is, decide what you'll do. Write it down if you need to. Then do it when the time comes. If there isn't, let tonight be tonight. That's it. You don't need a perfectly quiet mind. Nobody has one. You just need to notice when your mind has carried you somewhere you don't need to be, and learn how to come home. Back to this room. Back to the person beside you. Back to this evening. Back to the life that's actually happening. Tomorrow will arrive on its own. You don't have to suffer through it in advance. If one of these habits hit home for you, tell me which one in the comments. And if you want more practical Stoic wisdom for the things life gets harder to explain as we get older, subscribe. We'll keep working through them together, one day at a time.